The regularly scheduled Evans City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. My name is Mark Clark. I'm the mayor. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pletka.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Neal.
Present.
Councilmember Crabtree.
Here.
Councilmember Delaney.
Here.
All right, next item on our agenda is the awards and recognition. This month for June 2026, we have the Evans Yard of the Month, and that's going to be presented to Michael and Melinda Hayden. Hopefully I pronounced your last name right. It's 2918 Spring Cove Drive. So if you're in the audience, please come up, present your certificate and a gift card, and get a picture.
I just made my own with honey.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I don't like the way they came. Well, I don't think they came out really wimpy looking. So I'm gonna have to. Said to use a cup of honey as sugar replacement. I think I better cut it down more.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping Evans beautiful.
All right, next on our agenda is audience participation. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address City Council on any item that's not of a public hearing and or the agenda? If so, please step forward and state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. Thank you. Hold on. Your mic's not on. Please state your name and address for the record. There you go.
So when I get a water bill and I have the bank send a check, that check is going to Dallas. Why?
It's going to where? I'm sorry?
Why is the check going to Dallas, the water bill?
No, I will leave that question to the staff.
So here's what happened. I get a water bill and it says shut off notice. And I call and I get all my ducks in a row. I know I paid that bill. I download the copy of the check, everything. And I call the water department and Sam says, it goes to Dallas. And I said, I send it. I have the bank send it so that it gets there on time by the 15th. She said, well, it goes to Dallas. She looks in May I got it. In April I got it on the 21st. On May I got it on the 20th. So anyway, she said, I can go all the way back. So why is it taking 14 days for that to get implemented? I don't care what's going on in Dallas, unless it goes to Dallas and comes back. I don't get it.
We'll have staff address that for you.
Pardon me?
Well, we can have staff look into it and then address that for you.
Well, yeah, I'd appreciate it because and so Sam says, I said, why is it doing that? She said, well, they're just starting up people. We only have 2 people here to open those letters, I guess. Anyway, but she said, well, you can send it here if you want to, 1137th, whatever it is. And I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do from now on. But I don't understand why we're not all doing that. I don't understand why it's going to Dallas. I mean, most of the stuff that we do is computer. We plug it in and it does its thing in 2 seconds. So who's going to look into that? We'll
have staff look into it. We'll have Cody look into it for you and get an answer for you, our city manager.
And I want to know what is Dallas doing? Why can't we do it here? Are we paying Dallas to do something? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I really can't answer that tonight. I will certainly look into it. I know we have multiple ways for folks to pay their utility bills, whether it's through a monthly ACH or through bringing a check in to the customer service office or paying online. So I will look into it and provide City Council with a response.
Great, thanks, Cody.
And then when will I find out?
We can get. Sorry.
You're gonna give me.
Yeah, if you can give Curtis Cunningham your contact information, we will get a response back to you this week.
Alrighty.
And then you'll just email us the response? Because I would like to know also.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't realize that Alice was getting payments.
Yes, sir. We will look into it.
Right.
We'll have a response to council this week and also,
Because that's news to me as well.
Yeah.
I'm a little shocked to hear that. Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
I pay ACH, so.
Good evening.
Green?
Got kind of a simple issue, really, more just about process and kind of figuring out a direction to flow. So I'm Ron at the Rush Event Center down the road there. And we just got this sound permit deal we're trying to work our way through. We've been in this thing now, going on 4 years, and never really had to do much of anything like that, but I'm hearing more and more that we got to get that done. So talking to people this afternoon or today about the available forms and things that we need to fill out, it doesn't really seem it's applicable to what we do. It seems like it's more about a resident that wants to have a backyard party and amplified music and that type of thing. So there's a couple of things that's kinky about it, because we have multiple events through the summer, and then the 30-day notice, it gets complicated. So I was told to come here and kind of bring it forward and then see what kind of process it would take to get us maybe either into some kind of seasonal permit type scenario. Just trying to try to do the right thing, but we just got to get it figured out here as we're going. So that's what I'm asking.
All right, just reach out to staff and we'll get an answer for you.
Michael, you had talked to me earlier about this. Could you come up and address the council as to the process? That way they're aware, please.
Good evening, Council. Michael Hall, City Planning. So I did speak with Mr. Harper earlier today, and this has followed several years. As you know, he has a special use permit out there at the Rush for events, and as well as a number of other things related to the operation of the event center. He has been holding a concert series over the last several years, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Last year, there was a police report on one of those. There was a noise complaint, and that's how the city started becoming aware of that. That was their last concert for the season. And so this year, he has started up the concert series again. There is a noise permit process administered by the city clerk, and that Cody eventually signs. However, I think Mr. Harper here is just looking for a little more clarification. He has some frustrations with the overall process, I would say, in my discussions with him. That's for him to voice tonight if he should wish to do so. But in any case, he's just looking for more direction on the noise permit application. We do have an application. I'm not personally familiar with it. I know, again, it's administered by the clerk's office, but there's I would say a little nuance that he's trying to convey across, but staff is happy to continue working on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This will just be, this is a policy decision, not a council decision, so we would have to hear more of the policy from staff and maybe have a work session at a later date, but it's not the forum to address that in at the moment.
Okay, so
If
staff is enforcing the currently adopted policy, if there's any desired policy changes that the council would need, am I hearing you correct that you would like to have a work session
No,
to
I'm
discuss this
saying
issue
if,
further?
No, I'm saying if the majority of the council wishes to, yes, but currently we have to enforce the policy that's on the books. We're not going to vary it until there's a majority of the council that wants to address it at a later date.
So
We
a
have a-
council meeting, a council discussion, it can be brought
We
up.
can bring that up at council discussion, but if there's a policy that's currently on the books, then we follow that policy until changed.
Okay.
So, yeah. Council may look at it at a later date. But for right now, we have a policy in place, so.
Okay, so where do I go from here then?
Right now, it's the policy that we have in place until council decides it wants to go a different direction with the policy. So,
Okay.
yep, we won't address that tonight. We have to have discussions on that later on.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. All right, anybody else in the audience who wishes to address council on any items? not on the agenda or public hearing.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Peter Hunsaker. I own a property at 3636 37th Street, and this is in response to a recent widening project. I was started getting contacted by Mark Oberschmidt back in 2020, approximately, and that's all I ever talked to was Mark and Mackenzie Perry, who worked on the stuff to sell the property. I have 3 issues that need to be addressed. Number 1, the solar panels that were on my building and the electrical support wall. When the city took down the building, nobody contacted me to take down the solar panels, and I have note and emails from Mark saying that they would. Now the company's coming after me to sue me for the panels in the wall. Mark stated that we would be kept well informed, my wife and I, as to this construction time frame so that we could coordinate the solar panel move. Mark did keep us informed as the schedule kept being delayed since 2020 when I was first contacted. When I went up there recently, I noticed there's no electrical hookup to my property. There's no water and there's no gas. So now I have a property that I can't even do anything with, even if I wanted to. I bought this property 10 years ago as an investment property. The reason I bought this property was to try to monetize that because I knew something was going to happen in those roads in the future. Now I can't even do that. I was supposed to have a full access, east-west full access movement. I have the meeting, I have the email that states that. I am a 25-year Air Force veteran, disabled, with 2 terminal diseases. I'm not asking for anything special. I just want the honest things to come forward that it was promised to me, and I have the emails to prove it. I've also been working with RE/MAX, Mary Jo Baracus here, and we've been trying to figure out what to do with this property for a long time. So as you can see, this was always bought to try to do something with, and now I have no accesses. If this was ever the issue, I would have never sold this property, and we would have gone to court over eminent domain. Because I had to, and I'll show you how I helped the city when you asked. We helped the city, we had to refinance my property so that, because I didn't have enough loan to value to sell the city the front strip that you guys wanted. So I had to refinance it and put down $30K to get it down. But I did that and went through all those paperworks. Keep in mind, 2020, I was going through heavy cancer and chemo treatments too. And I didn't want to be the one to hold it up. So I also gave cheap easements to the city during the construction, so y'all could put all your stuff there. I think it was $1 for the year. And then I gave you a 100-year lease so that you could access the retaining pond, which I didn't have to do. I didn't have to do any of those, but I did that. And when I called the city and I tried to set up a meeting in August to discuss this and what was going on, I had a partner with me, and when I went through them and tried to tell everybody, there was no response. And then I said, well, I have to have my wife and probably a lawyer look at that. As soon as I said that, they got up and walked out, said, we're not allowed to talk to you. I've sent several emails. I've had radio stations call here. Nobody's called back. So I really hope that at least somebody will do the right thing here, since I have all the evidence to prove it. And this was long before the sale. Your city engineer is the one who signed these emails. All of them. And these were the promises that were made. And I have copies of all this. I have 2 full copies of all my emails, and I have all the specific ones where Mark told me exactly where this would be, where my full access would be, the whole thing. So I'd like to know how I'm going to get resolution on all these issues. I need power, gas, water. I need all this fixed. I need somebody to contact that solar company. You guys took the panels. I didn't. So next call, I'm just going to tell them, you got to call them. They stole them. I don't know where they're at.
All right, thank you.
So what are we going to do here?
Well, we don't discuss that during council. We don't discuss that. Yeah.
When's council?
We do not discuss that on this dais. We will look into it further for you.
Okay, how am I going to get notified about anything?
Somebody from staff will contact you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Sir, I will say that someone called me from Fort Collins and told me that you were discussed this with Tom Martino on the radio.
Yes, I did, sir. He absolutely told me to do it, and he said, you got a very good, strong case. They should have never done this to you. That was wrong. And what they did was wrong. So he told me to come to the council and explain it to him. He said, I'm sure there'll be some people there that will have common sense.
Cody, is there a way for you to get his information and just see what it's all about and then send us an email just kind of what's transpiring with what he has mentioned or brought to us today?
Yeah, I'm working through that right now with Ty.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
So
My wife is here, so she wants to speak.
We have evidence here with all of the drawings and the emails where we communicated with everybody and they told us the stuff was going to be taken care of. We did not know that we were going to lose every bit of service to our property. No one in their right mind would do that. So who do we give this evidence to?
Plus, when I went up there to talk to the foreman, he said, yeah, I know. I said, these are wrong, these cutouts. He said, these drawings have been wrong the whole time. I don't doubt it. And that was the foreman on the job. I have that too.
If staff wishes to accept it, they may.
What's that?
If staff wishes to accept it, you may give it to staff.
Who is staff?
Yeah, I got copies. This is all copies.
6 years later. All right. Next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. We do have a change to the agenda. We're going to add an item onto new business. It's going to be number 9E, and that's to declare a vacancy for Ward 1 after the resignation of Councilmember Fair. So, Madam Clerk, is there any other changes to the agenda other than that?
No, Mayor.
All right, with that being said, I would entertain a motion of the approval of the agenda. All right, I have a motion, a second, to approve the agenda as amended. And that's motion. That motion carries 6-0. All right, consent agenda. Any changes to the consent agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Come on.
All right, I have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda. Submit your votes. All right. And that motion carries 6-0. All right, next item on the agenda, old business item 8A, consideration of ordinance number 861-26, amending Title 5 of the Evans Municipal Code requiring permits for garage sales, second reading. I'd hear from staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Curtis Cunningham, Assistant to the City Manager. The only change that was made to this staff report from the previous one is just to show that in section 18.09.070, the general standards for all signs does show that it shouldn't be on utility poles or in the public right of way. Other than that, everything is the same. That's all I got for Council.
Great. Any questions or comments of staff? All right. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 861-26 on second reading, amending Title 5 of the Evans Municipal Code. Submit your votes. That motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Curtis. All right, item 9A under new business, public hearing, consideration of ordinance number 862-26, accepting the public road right-of-way Liberty Draw filing number 3, first reading. I will open up the public hearing. We'll hear from staff.
Yes, that's me. Thank you, council. Apologies, I was out in the hall for a minute there. Again, good evening, Mayor and Council. Michael Hall, City Planner with the City of Evans. For your consideration is ordinance number 862-26 for the acceptance of public road rights-of-way, which supports the proposed subdivision road layout for Liberty Draw, filing number 3 final plat, in which the streets are located. The second reading is scheduled for June 16th. The property owner and applicant is Liberty Draw Land Developers, care of Andy Girk. I did speak with Mr. Girk prior to this hearing. He's unable to attend tonight. The site is located south of and adjacent to the Prairie View Drive roadway extension. That's part of this filing as well, and west of 35th Avenue. The area to be accepted and dedicated is approximately 6.3 acres. The names of the road to be accepted are Katmai Avenue, Haleakala Street, Indiana Dune Street, Wind Cave Street, and Great Smoky Street, which have been approved and are labeled on the final plat. Subject rights-of-way are depicted in the stamped surveyed exhibits A and B attached to the ordinance. For background, Evans Community Development staff is processing a final plat for filing number 3 in Sunbury 94 single-family detached residence and 99 single-family or their townhome style products. Residences are proposed, and this is on approximately 33 acres. It's located directly south of filing number 1. So filing number 1's the north eastmost. Filing number 2 extends to the west, and this filing number 3 is south of filing number 1. The administratively approved final plat included a condition of approval regarding the need to dedicate new road rights-of-way, and this was also requested by the applicant in the application materials and as shown on the draft plat. Per section 18.03.100 of the Evans Municipal Code, City Council is responsible for accepting the dedication of right-of-way being the subject and extent of the ordinance. So we're not looking at the final plat itself. That has been administratively approved. This is solely about the acceptance of right-of-way, which is a City Council function. The subject acceptance of the right-of-way supports this condition, and the final plat will include a note on the plat that basically summarizes this ordinance, and then the plat itself is the vehicle that accepts that dedication of the right-of-way. Regarding financials, no direct financial impact to the city as a result of the right-of-way dedication. However, any future public road improvements within the right-of-way will require future City of Evans maintenance per the terms of the development agreement, which you'll hear later tonight. But that would be, again, following final acceptance of that. So there would be a standard initial and then final warranty period. For the recommendation, staff has reviewed the applicable municipal code sections and found that the applicant's request meets the requirements, procedures, and criteria for approval. Staff recommends that the City Council approve ordinance number 862-26 on first reading. Should the ordinance be approved following the second reading in 2 weeks, the draft plat may be updated accordingly, and the applicant may continue to work on the remaining conditions of approval. At this time, I've concluded the presentation. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Michael. Is there any questions of staff? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I have a question just where 42nd or Prairie View Drive meets 35th. I see there's going to be quite a bit of traffic there eventually when those homes get built. Are we responsible for possibly putting in a light at 35th and 42nd, or will that be on them to provide because that new neighborhood? And the reason I ask and the reason I want to bring this up tonight is that it's already a pretty busy intersection, even though it's only north-south and coming from the east and turning east. It's already pretty busy. You add all those houses, all that traffic in, we already need to be looking at that. Or is that in this plan?
Not in this item. This is just taking on the physical land and accepting that as part of city infrastructure, and basically becomes part of our local street network. Later on in the development agreement, that's for all the public improvements. Right now, it does not include a light. That would be evaluated at a future time. It's not warranted right now. It would be looking at a four-way stop right now.
Thank you for the clarification.
It is on the city's radar, though. Likely that would occur when the broader 35th Street is redeveloped to the south at that intersection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Neal?
Yes, I have a curiosity question. Are we currently providing the signs for the Liberty Drive subdivision, the street signs.
The street signs, I'm not sure on that.
One of the reasons I ask is because I toured the city with the city manager early on in my tenure as a council member, and some of the developers were allowed to put up their own signs, and it created quite the mess, you know, and nothing was consistent throughout the city. So that's why I'm asking if Liberty Draw is allowed to put up their own signs, or if the city is going to be putting them up.
That's certainly a good question. I know Ty with Public Works in the sign shop can speak on that.
Yeah, so we, in the more recent phases, we've provided them with the updated sign template. You've probably seen some of them going up on 37th, on Prairie View Drive. That's the template that has been provided. So all new signage that's put up is their responsibility to provide in that same format. If we notice that the wrong signs have been put up, that's something that we will work with the developer to have them address at their expense. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm all for consistency in the signage.
All right, seeing no other additional questions from council, because this is a public hearing, I would ask if anybody in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this item, please step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Council discussion, if any. If not, I would entertain a motion. Seeing no council discussion, I'd entertain a motion. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 862-26 as proposed on first reading. Go ahead and submit your votes. And that motion carries 6-0. All right, thank you, Michael. All right, next item on the agenda is consideration of a development agreement with Liberty Draw Land Developers for Liberty Draw filing number 3. We'll hear from staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mike Hall, City Planning. For your consideration is the development agreement with Liberty Draw Land Developers LLC for the Liberty Draw subdivision filing number 3, located south and adjacent to the Prairie Road or Prairie View Drive extension west of 35th Avenue. This DA is a condition of approval for the Liberty Draw filing number 3 final plat, which has been administratively approved with conditions. This filing includes the construction of roadways, utilities, and amenity infrastructure to serve the development, notably the construction of the Prairie View Drive extension from 35th Avenue west to the western edge of the Liberty Draw subdivision boundary, basically up to where the Weedman, now D6 property. The development agreement outlines the on and off-site improvements and legal requirements associated with developing filing number 3. The developer plans to construct Liberty Draw filing number 3 in 4 phases: 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B. 3A is the first phase, and that's what includes Prairie View Drive. So we're getting the road on the first phase of construction. The phases covered by this, are depicted in the phasing plan, which is an exhibit in the development agreement. The development agreement does not conflict with the previously approved and recorded development agreements for Liberty Draw's filings number 1, 2, and the second and 2, the first replat. A subdivision bond will be provided to cover the developer improvement obligations, as Liberty Draw has done with the past filings. And for reference, this DA does contain the city standard warranty period of 2 years following initial acceptance. The DA has been signed and provided by the developer. The financials for this one are a little bit different than the others. As council may recall, we pushed the development or the construction of Prairie View Drive from filing 1 and 2 off to filing number 3. So there is the upsizing component to Prairie View Drive, and I'll go into that. So the big takeaway here is, in the past, the city didn't really have a lot of skin in the game when it came to the first 2 filings, but now we're talking about some larger or more robust joint city infrastructure as part of filing number 3. So the city and developer have the following 3 financial obligations, I'll say joint financial obligations under the agreement. The first is the Prairie View Drive construction total being $2,209,000, with the city having a 22% share in this amount for $503,584, with overages to be split proportionally based on that percentage. The second is the shared public stormwater infrastructure total of $303,000, with the city having a 50% share in the amount of $151,000, which overages to be proportionally shared. I'll mention on this, and this was previously agreed upon in the filing number 2 development agreement, where it was anticipated that this joint stormwater system would be around $600,000, and with redesign and updates to the design, it's been reduced to $300,000. So our contribution has been halved from $300,000 to about $150,000 with the redesign. And as part of this infrastructure, the city will pay the Metro District $500 annual for the maintenance of this versus having any actual obligations. So this is coming from the 37th Street widening. Our stormwater discharge has to go somewhere, and so we've partnered with Liberty Draw to design that so we can basically use their canals to drain that water down south through their property to the Ashcroft Draw. So they're using it as part of benefit for their development, and then also the infrastructure for 37th Street is using this planned stormwater system. And the last item is the relocation of a private irrigation line out of 35th Avenue for the cost of $178,000, with the city covering this entire not to exceed amount. This was brought up by Liberty Draw. Currently, there is a irrigation line in 35th. Its age could go at any time, and it was evaluated by city staff that we should take action on it now, remove it, have them relocate it. So if any issue ever occurred in that, it would be in their private outlots, so the city is not taking on any of those emergency repair costs. And then also this would now hasten, when we do the 35th Avenue expansion, any of those costs associated. We'd have to move it anyway. We're getting it done now, lesser costs, less liability. So this joint city developer improvement total is $2,691,757, and that city contribution is $833,000 of that. The developer is also responsible for the public subdivision improvements in each of the 4 phases. So what I previously discussed was the larger joint projects. This is now in each phase specifically for the subdivision internals, and this combined amount is $5,825,000. The applicant may elect to provide individual bonds for each phase, which is what Mr. Girk expressed that he was planning on doing, the larger public improvements, and then only phase 3A improvements under bond at this time. And they likely would just progress on each phase, issuing a new bond to the city. Additionally, the city holds $585,000 or that was previously paid by PDC Energy to the city for the kind of a joint upsizing of Prairie View Drive. This was paid as part of a previous SRC synergy development that was located directly to the southwest of Liberty Draw. So PDC has already paid their proportional share of, again, $585,000 to the city. We've been holding that in escrow. Once the developer submits evidence of certified costs, it's been warrantied, then we would remit that back to the developer, being the agency that constructed the improvements. The finance department has been advised of these expenses, and that will be included in a soon-to-be upcoming future budget revision. In his opinion of city staff, that these city contributions for oversizing of Prairie View Drive, the joint stormwater infrastructure, and the relocation of the irrigation line will benefit the immediate and future needs or interests of the city. And again, to note, all that reimbursement will be paid to the developer following final construction acceptance. And then we would pay based on our percentages as outlined. Regarding mechanisms, the subdivision bond to be provided by the developer will occur in 2 stages. The first stage is the performance guarantee, where that's 115% of the amount. In the case of default or anything, that would mean the city would have the ability to use the bond funds to complete that with that contingency of 15%. Following initial acceptance, which is when construction is complete, the city then warranties or goes into a warranty with the developer for a 2-year period, and that is only a 15%. So construction is done, we retain the 15% for a 2-year period. Following final acceptance, then we release that 15% bond. Following that warranty and final acceptance, then Prairie View Drive, the internal subdivision roadways, and then select city utility infrastructure will then be owned and maintained by the city. Staff recommends approval of the development agreement, the suggested motions in the staff report, and happy to answer any questions on that.
Great, thank you, Michael. Questions or comments of staff? I am not seeing any, so I'd entertain a motion. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the development agreement with Liberty Draw Land Developers LLC for Liberty Draw filing number 3 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement. Submit your votes. And that motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you all.
All right, next item on our agenda, item 9C, public hearing consideration of ordinance number 864-26, the 2026 budget revision number 1, first reading. I'll open up a public hearing. We'll hear from staff.
My apologies. Interim Finance Director and Treasurer, we are here to, for consideration of the ordinance A64-3, -246 for the acceptance of budget 2026 budget revision 1. This budget revision was presented to the Finance Committee on May 28th and directed staff to present the budget revision for consideration. Let me see. I have a presentation summarizing the items. Is it? It was working just fine. Thank you. Okay, the items included in this revision mostly are carry-forwards, items that were approved and started prior years, which were not completed during 2025. Is it working? That's not helping. Sorry. Interesting.
Did you try turning it off and turning it back on again?
No, it is on another time revision. Sorry, I'm broken. There you go. Thank you. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Okay, for the general fund, we have carry forward items with a total of 1.3 million. Major items included on these carry forward items are the police vehicle purchase and outfitting of the vehicles. This is for 259,000. We also have a carry forward item for recreation feasibility and implement next steps for 288,000. We are carrying forward for the conversion to the full core software, including annual support costs. We have 500,000 for design and installation of the entryway sign and landscaping. And we have 100,000 for the completion of the ADA transition plan. As new requests or one-time funding needs, we have a total of 330,000. That includes 50,000 increase for the fuel budget due to higher recent prices. 55,000 increase for citizen serve software, used by planning, building, and engineering. PD is requesting to utilize the core security surcharge revenue for police training of $28,000 and also $10,000 of SOL equipment revenues. Increased budget to utilize traffic calming funds to replace traffic ticket printers and equipment. A new item is to complete the housing needs assessment and housing action plan with the help of DOLA grant funds, just approved for $75,000, and the city will provide the $25,000 to complete the program. We also have a request to replace compact and stand-on skid steer, roadside herbicide sprayers, and one 2012 light dump truck for $200,000. So the projected ending fund balance for 2026 was $22 million after the carry forward and the new items request. Available fund balance, considering the reserves identified of $7.25 million, is $12,957,000. For other funds, we have the Street Impact Fund, carry forward project to include the 37th Street widening, and budget increase to include the Liberty Draw roadway improvements for $2.1 million. For the Park Impact Fund, we are asking to carry forward the projects to include the construction of the Arrowhead open space complete construction. The Conservation Trust Fund, we are asking to carry forward $5,000 to complete the construction on the Evans Ditch Trail. The CIP Streets Fund is asking to increase budget to include the 394 County Road engineering and construction, as well as 29 Avenue Boulders construction projects with a total of $376,000. The Food Tax Fund, we're asking to carry forward projects to include the police station construction project completion. For the Road Tax Fund, we are asking to carry forward projects to include 37 Street Phase 2B and Phase 3 and Mayor Road projects for $2.2 million. For the Water Fund, we have carry forward requests of $155,000. These include water truck upfitting and mini excavator attachments, 49th Street culvert repair, 42nd Street non-potable water line, Neville's backflow, fire hydrant replacements, and lead and copper rule revision. As a new request, we're asking $178,000 for the Liberty Draw irrigation line reallocation. The wastewater fund, we're carrying forward projects to include the wastewater expansion design for $3.4 million. For the storm drainage fund, we are asking to carry forward projects to include 23rd Avenue outfall project, pay with SRF loan proceeds. The original project on this loan was East Side Storm Sewer, 35th outfall that was on hold, that was stopped. And then we have a new request, $174,000 for Liberty Draw storm drainage. And I think that's all we have. Any questions?
Great, thank you, Elsa. Any questions of staff? All right, I'm not seeing any questions of staff. Because this is a public hearing, I'd ask anybody that's in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this item, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Mary Cisneros, 3513 Montrose Street, Evans, Colorado. So what I heard from Mike is that Liberty Draw is all funded by Liberty Draw people. But then I'm seeing 174,000, and I don't know how much more that's supposed to come out of our funds. Am I right? Why? I mean, Liberty Draws they're making the bucks on it. I don't know why Evans is having to pay any of it.
So any of the funds that would be listed for Liberty Draw would be included in the developer's agreement that's been approved by the city council as a city cost for that project.
Is it? I don't know.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, that's,
Then why is it on that budget?
it's a budget revision carry forward. It's not it's a budget carryover. Yeah,
Carry
go ahead.
forward.
I just want to add, so for some of the Liberty Draw projects, there are city improvements that the city relies on for our infrastructure. So the Liberty Draw Storm is an example of that. We had an agreement with, when Liberty Draw came in as a development, that we would use some of the storm capacity off of 37th to push water from north to south. So we've had this agreement in place since the first developer agreement, I believe. This is just the first time it has ended up on the budget because it's recently going to come to fruition with where they're at on the project currently. So that's why it's showing up as a budget revision. Finance just entered it into our kind of spreadsheet to make sure that we're tracking that project. But it is fully for the city improvements related to what Liberty Draw is doing. So Liberty Draw covers their infrastructure, we're covering the costs associated with ours. Thank you.
It just seems like we wouldn't have, the city of Evans wouldn't have to be doing anything if Liberty Draw wasn't approved. Right?
So
Really, it's their budget, it's their burden, not the city of Evans. And then in the end, after they're gone, the developers are gone, city of Evans is still gonna have to pick up whatever happens.
So this is not a question for staff. This is a speak for or against it and the reasons why, not for them. Right, but they don't have to address, this is for you to say I'm for it because of this, or I'm against it because of that.
Okay, then here's the other thing. Vehicles, buying new vehicles, what's wrong with leasing? Our economy is not good right now. The whole United States, it does not have a good economy, and so to me it would be lease those vehicles, don't buy them. Dump trucks, anything, lease it. Long time ago, we used to lease photocopy machines. What's the difference? I don't get it. And in the end, you can give them back or whatever, but it's,
So I appreciate,
saying I would,
and I appreciate those comments, and I'm on that finance committee, and I would love to sit down one-on-one with you and go over how this all works. It's a complicated mechanism, and it takes a lot of time to go through these balance revisions. And you're right, there's sometimes it's appropriate to lease, and there's sometimes appropriate to purchase. But maybe after this meeting, you and I can sit down and find a time that we can go over these more one-on-one, because this is a big picture item, and to get kind of through this, I can answer those questions, just you and I.
it's a suggestion, it's not.
And they're great suggestions. And to see the big picture, perhaps you and I can sit down and go over those and even come up with some better solutions.
And I can do that. My problem is that when I look at the fire department and their funding and their
They're a different
revenue
Different entity.
and Evans
So again, I'm going to go back to
subsidizing them.
the preferences for or against and why. We're not here to answer those questions for you. You're just here to give, I'm for this, yes, and this is why. I'm against it, this is why.
And so that's what I'm telling you. That's why it's not for Evans, it's not a good deal as far as I'm concerned.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else in the audience? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Entertain any council discussion and or a motion. All right, seeing no council discussion, I would entertain a motion. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 864-26 on first reading. And submit your votes. All right, that motion carries 6-0. All right, thank you. Appreciate it, Elsa. Great job. All right, next item on our agenda, item 9D, consideration of ordinance number 863-26, amending sections 1004 and 824 of the Evans Municipal Code to adopt certain parking regulations, inoperable vehicles, nuisance regulations, and property maintenance standards. First reading, we'll hear from staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this notice is ordinance number 863-26. It updates portions of the Evans Municipal Code to address identified enforcement gaps, improve neighborhood appearance, enhance public safety, and establish clear objective property maintenance standards. The proposed amendments are intended to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community while providing consistent and enforceable regulations. The key ordinance changes are as follows. Residential parking standards requires vehicles and trailers in residential front yards to be parked on approved hard surface parking areas, allows property maintenance gravel or rock parking areas adjacent to existing driveways, and reduces mud and erosion and neighborhood blight. Oversized commercial vehicles is something that's been complained about within the community on multiple occasions in the time that I've been here. This establishes clear restrictions on oversized commercial vehicles in residential zoned areas, preserves reasonable exceptions for deliveries, moving vehicles, construction projects, and certain owner-operated commercial vehicles, while improving the neighborhood compatibility with residential character. Inoperable vehicles, interestingly, currently we have no ordinance on the books for inoperable vehicles on the public way. We have an ordinance on the books right now that prohibits inoperable vehicles on private property, but you can park an inoperable vehicle in your driveway perfectly fine. We can cite you for that. If you move that vehicle out onto the public roadway, we have no mechanism of enforcement whatsoever. So this will address that concern. Property maintenance standards clarifies maintenance requirements for structures, landscaping, parking surfaces, fencing, lighting, signage, and related site improvements. Establishes objective standards for that so we can maintain consistent enforcement across all residential properties. And then hazardous trees and stumps. We made a few changes to the definition of what a stump is and basically requiring the removal of stumps down to the ground level or below ground level. There's a lot of community benefits to these ordinance changes, improves neighborhood appearance, livability, protects property values and community investment, enhances roadway, pedestrian, and public safety, reduces nuisance and blight conditions, and most importantly, it establishes clear and objective enforcement standards for our police department and our neighborhood services to use as our standards for enforcement. Staff recommends approval of ordinance number 863-26 on first reading. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you, Chief. Go ahead, Councilmember Delaney. I'll let you go first.
Chief, I just wanted to say thank you for the work on this. I really do think that it does help us with enforcement. The other thing I'm going to point out is it's awesome having a chief that has a law degree, because I absolutely loved reading this report when you went, here's what we're proposing, and here's our legal basis for doing it. I thought that was really good, and I very much appreciated it.
Thank you.
That's all.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Flecka, go ahead.
Just to clarify, because it was a member of Evans PD that informed me, will this address the 18-wheelers that have been parked, say, right in front of a residential property, even though it's multifamily? We've had a problem with the 18-wheelers parked in front of the road. Would that address this issue specifically?
So it would, as long as it's considered a residential property per zoning, right? So right now, we don't have any ordinance whatsoever. That section of the ordinance was removed in a past process, right? So we didn't have the opportunity for commercial-sized vehicles to be, we didn't have an enforcement tool, essentially, in a residential area. This puts that language right back in where it was. We haven't changed the language in any way. So as long as that area is a zoned residential area, this is an enforcement strategy for those type of vehicles.
And then one more question, does this also apply to huge like gooseneck trailers that are parked on residential streets?
So this ordinance is not specific to trailers. It's really specific to commercial vehicles. So there are very specific standards for what a commercial vehicle is. It defines it in the ordinance, and it identifies by size, shape, length, height, all of those different factors. So a gooseneck trailer may not qualify under the circumstance, but there's some other potential opportunities to address those concerns as to whether or not it's attached to a vehicle or detached from a vehicle. And those are like future reviews of potential statutes that we have currently.
I know it's a complaint in my neighborhood with multiple people, and at the very end of, south end of Mariposa Lane, we have one that's just sitting there. So, it's good to see that we're getting all of this going, but I want to help keep that going.
That's something I can look at specifically to trailers. I know there are different municipal ordinances for trailers within communities. Sometimes you can't detach them from the vehicle at all. That's one methodology that some communities take to ensure that trailers aren't parked on the public way. They're parked in private property. So that's something we can look at. If this doesn't directly address it, if it's a commercial vehicle, it would. But if it was not a commercial vehicle, it didn't meet the standards under this ordinance, then it would have to be addressed through other municipal ordinances. And that's something we can look at if we don't have the strong tools that we need.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
All right, Chief, real quick, just a quick question. I know you kept saying, you mentioned inoperable vehicles. What about expired tags?
So the definition of inoperable vehicles under the municipal code currently includes vehicles that are not properly licensed. And this just moves that same definition to the public way. So it would include a vehicle that had expired tags, no tags, anything like that.
Perfect, thank you. Councilmember Neal.
Yes, Chief, I'm glad to see that this language has been put back in here. I have a semi that's parked in my area that's in front of a house. The gentleman used to just park his tractor trailer or tractor in the driveway. And there's been some concerns about it. I've also been very concerned about the number of trailers I see on the streets around town, not attached to anything, because that's a safety concern for me with children playing around them or going underneath to grab a ball that rolled under them. And it's very concerning. I did not realize at all that we did not have anything for an inoperable vehicle that was parked on the streets to do anything about that. So I'm glad we've got that hopefully corrected, because that's I know in the past it's been a sore spot for code enforcement and officers with the inoperable vehicles being in the driveways and things like that, and then to be able to, if they find out they can move it to the street and they're safe, that's not good. Thank you.
Multiple pieces of this will cover some of the gaps that we have. Are we still going to have some gaps? Sure. But in this particular context, we're closing quite a few of them.
Councilmember Johnson.
I just had a question in regards to the residential parking service requirements. We had a great presentation by our neighborhood services in the past, and there was a slide in particular. It was a picture of a house with a lot of cars parked in front of it. So like there was really no path to get inside because there was just vehicles, and it didn't have an improved surface. So now my question is, if they were to improve it in the sense of they just put concrete on the entire front of their home, are they able to still park park because now it's an improved surface?
So there would be different mechanisms in the code to prevent somebody from paving their entire
Okay.
front yard,
Well, that,
so to
that,
speak.
because
Yeah.
that's my concern. That's
Yeah.
why I was like, I just want to make sure there's like a
Yeah, there's a
guardrail somewhere.
different area of the code that would, a planning and zoning type piece that would provide, you can't literally just concrete your entire yard and then park wherever you want within the space, right? But from the context of this particular statute, that is what it means.
Okay, it just.
So if they
look at
did
it-
have an authorized approved surface that was within the standards of the community and meeting all of our other provisions within our code, they could park on those improved surfaces. So they're really like two separate little
Okay,
pieces.
good. I'm just making sure that there is a separate piece somewhere else indicating, no, you can't do that, because I could foresee that happening.
Sure.
So I appreciate you. No, that's all I have. Thank you. I agree with a lot that was mentioned already.
All right, seeing no other additional questions or comments, I would entertain a motion. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 863-26, amending sections 10.04 and 8.24 of the Evans Municipal Code to adopt certain parking regulations, inoperable vehicles, nuisance regulations, and property maintenance standards on first reading. Waiting for it.
It's not.
Yeah, I know. That's why I read it.
It's not letting
It's
us.
not.
I think it froze.
I think it froze. No. I'll go ahead and do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. All right. All right, next on our agenda is item number 9E, declaring a vacancy in Ward 1. With the resignation of former council member Kyle Farrer, we declares a vacancy in Ward 1, so we would go out and send out postcards or notifications out to residents in there to apply to fill that vacancy up until the November election. And we would hold those interviews and have somebody seated within how many days is it 60?
It's 90 days pursuant to the
90
city
days
charter.
pursuant to the city charter. So with that being said, I would entertain a motion to declare vacancy in Ward 1.
I move to declare.
I just want to say just something really quick. It was a pleasure to serve alongside Council Member Fair.
Good. Yes, agreed. All right.
I move to declare vacancy in Ward 1.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to declare vacancy in Ward 1. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, next item on our agenda, report, City Manager.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I have just a couple of things for you tonight. The first thing I'd like to do is, it's my honor to introduce to the City Council our new Finance Director, Curtis Adams. Curtis has joined the city. Last week was his first week, so we came back from week 2. I'm really excited about that. We're going for week 3 next week. But Curtis joins us from the town of Frederick, where he also served as the finance director. So he brings to us a great deal of experience that I think is going to fit very well with the direction that the city's going. And I'm proud to welcome him to the executive team. So Curtis, welcome. If there's anything you'd like to say, feel free.
Thank you, Cody. Council, Mayor, it's an absolute privilege and pleasure to serve in this role. I take servanthood and leadership very seriously, and I'm very thankful to be here. So it's a pleasure to be here tonight as well.
Awesome. Well, welcome.
Welcome to the team.
You saw how well those audits went. So we got a winning streak, so let's keep them up.
Like
Elsa has done a phenomenal job, as the interim finance director, and so has her team. So you got a great staff behind you.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to point out he lived through a finance committee meeting with me on it. I mean, first week, that was a rough thing.
And you came back for week 2. That shows great character right there. Welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Mayor and Council, the next thing I have to address Mrs. Narrow's question earlier about the Dallas Processing Center. Elsa, correct me if I'm wrong. So I got my team in the audience to help me through this. Online payments are effective the day they are made. Checks mailed to the city are effective the day they are received, if they're mailed directly to the city. The Dallas Processing Center, let me pull up. The Dallas Processing Center is the Wells Fargo lockbox, it is their designated processing center. Used to be in Denver. Wells Fargo moved it to Dallas.
Got it.
And so if you mail your utility bill to the address on the utility statement and it goes to Dallas, that is because that is the Wells Fargo designated lockbox center.
Got it.
So as I understand it, we're in the process of bringing that to a close. So we're in the process of shutting down that relationship or that processing center. But again, if checks are mailed directly to the city, 1137th, then they're processed the day they are received. Otherwise, if they're mailed to the address on the utility bill, for the time being, it's going to Dallas as that is Wells Fargo's process.
And that was just a short-term deal, and that's why we're.
Yeah, they changed it from Dallas or from Denver. It used to go to Denver. I remember I've sent several checks down to Denver, and then they'd have to come back. And so whatever happens on the back end, Wells Fargo changed their processing center from Denver down to Dallas.
And that's why there's a delay in the.
Yes, sir.
The communication of when we're receiving that payment, and that's why there's a delay. And that's why the customer is reflecting those 5 to 10 day delay times. Okay,
Yes,
got
sir.
it.
That is correct.
And why are we changing that away from now Dallas? Why are we, because I know we're not breaking the relationship, but are we just sending everything now to home base? But there's a fee for the online payment still, right?
Right.
That's correct.
So they get the 3 options: pay online with a
Pay in
fee
person.
or mail it to home base.
Pay in
Okay.
person. There's a pay in person option too, correct?
Oh, of course, there's always been a pay-in option, but you can always come to the front counter.
So I have a question. When does that end? And because you mentioned there's going to be an end to it, does it warrant? Is it end soon? Soon, or is it later to where it warrants maybe social media posts or something sent out indicating that you can also send your checks to the city so that doesn't happen again? Because I think
That's a good question.
because she mentioned it took 14 days, and that's a long time.
Yeah, we can always get messaging out on social media to help provide clarity to what the options are for the citizens.
But that was the first question: is when is that termination happening?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So in the interim, I think definitely getting out some kind of messaging to our residents so they're aware.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Right. Good.
Yeah, and then the last thing I have, just this evening, I did sign the contract for the engineering design for the 394 culvert repair. So the engineering team, Shantanu and his team will begin working with our design consultant at Sandbell to get that solution engineered, and then obviously it'll go out for bid for construction. So I know it's an inconvenience. I know that there's some folks that are upset about it. I've signed the contract. It's gone all the way through the approval process. And so it is now in Sandbell's hands to get a design to us so we can move forward with construction.
As I do not remember her name, so have we informed her in regards to what's transpiring?
I literally signed it tonight during the
Right,
work
okay.
session.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's hot off the press.
perfect, thank you.
So,
All right.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I've got tonight.
Awesome. Thank you. City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. We're continuing to work on the routine review of contracts, as we always do. A couple of other projects we're working on. We have provided the documents now to convey the infamous outlet Q in Neville's Crossing to the city, as well as a utility easement for the city to maintain the detention pond that's located on that outlot. We are working with representatives of Mountain Tracks and MCC to get everyone around the table and address the improvement in financing of 47th Avenue other than through city funds. And we are working with the farmer's attorney and staff with regard to the failed culvert. Staff has committed to not interfere with the running of water while they're working on the project, at least during the design phase. We've provided a direct contact for the farmer to get in touch with the city, and we've asked that they let us know when they're going to run water and the rate of that water. I don't think we've gotten a response back from them yet, so I think that's all set up. And that's it.
All right, thank you. All right, next on our agenda is council discussion. Just waiting for that. All right, so just want to let council know we do have a signed contract in place with Ed Bull for our, who will be our next city attorney. His start date will be June 22nd. So that contract for council approval will be brought back at the next city council meeting, which will be June 16th, for us to look over and approve. But we are really excited to have him come aboard and join the city of Evans as our next city attorney. And Scott, I want to say to you, thank you for coming back and being our interim for a while. It's been great having you. I know we're going to have you still at least the next council meeting. I don't know about the one in July, if you're going to still be here when Eddie is, but thank you very much. We really appreciate everything you've done with us over the last few months. But yep.
Can I ask a really question in regards to, now that the contract's signed, how we called the other gentleman that?
They've already been notified.
They've been notified?
Everybody's been notified.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. So,
is it today?
I notified them already the other day.
The reason I asked is because it was mentioned to me that they hadn't. Okay.
All right, seeing nothing else for council discussion. All right.
Oh, wait, I do. I'm sorry. I have something. Okay. So I just wanted to mention that I will continue to be the High Plains Library District appointee representing the city. There is a vacancy for Region 4 for the High Plains Library Trustee for the Greeley, Evans, and Garden City area. That will take place this coming month. We'll go over all the candidates and then interview them and select them. Once the trustee is selected, it'll come to council for approval, more than likely through the consent agenda. The other thing that I wanted to also mention was I had a discussion with Cody in regards to model rockets. And so it was brought up to me that model rockets may be seen as like a pyrotechnic, but through discussion with Cody, our chief, and then also Chief DeSalvo, it was mentioned as long as the model rocket has no spark or an engine where there's like a fuel component, correct me if I'm wrong, that it is okay to launch those. If there is a potential for fire to be produced out of it taking off, then there's a concern due to there potentially being a fire hazard, correct? So there's no need for an ordinance change or any verbiage, because as long as it doesn't fall under any combustion, pyrotechnic, then we're okay.
That's my understanding, because the code reads a fuel source. It reads, that combustion. And so if those components are absent of the rocket, then I think it would be outside of the restrictions in city code. Certainly a city attorney could provide better legal guidance than I, but that's how I interpret the code.
Okay. I haven't read the code, so I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, if you can, definitely, since as your last endeavor. But it's just to make sure, just because children, especially now through our schools, and now that they're out of school, it's kind of one of the hobbies that are that they do and they're able to do during summer and when they have break. And so just making sure that, I know I looked up and it did state that there's kind of a blurriness to how the ordinance can be read. And so there's not really it's like kind of like a discretion component. And so I just wanted to make sure that it was just straightforward and there is no muddiness.
So I would suggest reach out to the Northern Colorado Rocket Association. They're a big, huge organization up in this area, and they do rocket launches all the time throughout Weld County, especially in the Pawnee grasslands, and they have all the rules and regulations on what is and what constitutes, because model rockets have all different size engines and components. One of my huge hobbies when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
So larger rockets, larger components, they do have a spark. You have to have an igniter and a power source, usually through a battery that lights it, which burns the propellant in the rocket. So depending on the size of the motor, it can very well be a propellant that could be considered. So that's why they usually hold them out there, especially when they shoot the ones that go up to like 15, 20,000 feet. So just,
That's at a bigger scale.
yeah, I would still check with them. They have a lot of information on their website it's greatly helpful and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I believe, hold on, of course, lastly, Scott, I appreciate you. I echo what the mayor said. I appreciate you. Thank you for helping us and being here for us. Your expertise, it's crucial for our city. You know our city, you know who we are, and you do a great job representing us. And I'm happy for you because I know you have other things that you want to do, and I appreciate you providing your time, and just know that you're truly appreciated, and we're grateful to you. So thank you.
Anyway, but.
Yes, but I want to make sure just in case, because you know how it goes.
All right, thank you.
Yes. That's all I have.
All right, cool. Councilmember Neal.
Well, since I didn't get to speak on the lock boxes, my personal experience with those when I was sending checks, sending 2 checks to the same city and one to west to another city that was even closer. And the one that was in the west was always complaining that the payment was late. And with the lockbox, they have to have somebody come and get and open the thing and take checks out and take them back and get them processed. And a lot of companies, Bureau being one currently, they do not apparently visit that lockbox every month or every day and get the checks out and process them efficiently. And that's part of the problem. But when you're using another company to process those checks, like Wells Fargo, they're going through our bank. Then we lose control over that process entirely. So unless we switch banks, so that's what I got to say on that one.
Thank you. All right, see.